Hello guys, my name is Nagul Meera Mahankali. I'm AI engineer and AI aspirant. Currently, I'm exploring lots of topics on AI related stuff, especially like generative AI and then LLMs. As part of my learning, I would like to share whatever I learn and then what I'm going to learn. I wanted to share such a way you guys can learn and then you guys can experience what I experienced. So today my topic is like a introduction to LLMs. So in the previous video I have talked about the most of the very fundamentals of AI and then generative AI LLMs. So now I'm deep dive into the LLMs and then generative AI. So I wanted to create as like a series of videos on this working with LLMs. So now this is a part 1 introduction to LLMs. Generative AI is a kind of a AI model which trained on lots of data. From the data it understands the patterns. From the patterns it's able to generate the new content. It means like it will train on lots of large amount of data. From the data it is able to understand the different patterns, and then we will be using underlyingly it will be using the machine learning algorithms and then deep learning and then neural network kind of techniques they are using as part of learning this data. From there it could understand the different patterns. From the patterns it able to generate the new content. So that is called generative AI. So generative AI have a ability to it's like a ability to generate lots of content, which may be text generation, image generation, audio, video, and then code generations, right? So this is like a wide range of content it can generate by the generative AI models. So now let's talk about the large language models, right? So large language models is like a part of generative AI, but these large language models specific to more of like a generating a text or human like language, which means like this is also similar to generative AI, but this is more specific to generating the text kind of a information, which may be a code or which may be some kind of a information, right? So similarly, like how generative AI trained down the lots of data with the different kind of algorithms, machine learning algorithms. Similarly, LLMs also using the same kind of a technique. From there, like it will read the large amount of data. From the data it will be understanding the patterns. From the patterns it is able to predict the new text, which means like if you ask for any question it could generate the answer for you. So the name itself, right, large language models. So large means like it's read the lots of data, like billions of data. We already known that it's specialized in generating the text models, mathematical representation of trained data, right? So this is about large language models. So example of large language models here, like a chat GPT from OpenAI, Claude from Anthropic, Llama is from Meta. So these are like a Gemini from the Google. So these are like a different AI model which belongs to the LLMs, large language models. So how LLMs works, right? The basic fundamental working of LLMs are very simple, right? Basically what will happen, right? It will first collect the data, means like it will read the lots of data from the text or whatever the provided the data, and then it break the text into some kind of a token, small words or a kind of a tokens, and then it will apply different kind of a machine learning algorithms, some kind of a neural networks, and then other related algorithm to understand the patterns. And then after understanding the patterns, the fine tuning nothing but adjust a model for specific task, right? For example, here in this case large language models is more of like a generating the human like kind of a text. So for example, if you look at the generation process, right? So user is asking for some question. So this question will be split into multiple tokens, right? Break into your tokens. Then model is like a processing these tokens, and then from these tokens it go on the search for the relevant information in the model. Finally it will collect the different kind of a very similar or relevant data from model. From there it will generate the new content. So for example, if you ask about any specific food, it go and search on what are the stored or stored data. So it will find very relevant information and then it will give the answer. That is called like how like a large language models are working today. What makes them smart, right? For example, as we discussed, right, like if you train on more data so that the model will become more smarter. So whatever the data you are feeding, like how much data you are feeding, and then how much kind of different various data sets you are able to feeding, that's how like a model can be smart, right? For example, context understanding. So for example, whatever the data you are provided from, what context you are asking, it is able to understanding from the context, and also it will also remember that context. For example, you ask today about something, the same thing after some time you are asking about the same thing, probably it will already recognize that these kind of things somebody already asked, so it is able to generate the content. Similar like a pattern recognition, like as I said, like they will use like a different kind of a machine learning algorithm to understand these patterns. Reasoning nothing but perform multi-step logical thinking, right? How humans are thinking, right? If you are getting, if somebody asking you some question, for example, you are not able to answer directly like in a straight one word answer, then you take some time on thinking, right? Similarly, like AI models also thinks like a humans, like go on, then it will search from different tokens, and then it will understand the pattern, and then it will generate the very relevant answers. Creativity, right? Combine the concept in novel ways, right? For example, because it's already learned from the different data sets, right? When you are asking, right, it is able to create a new thing. For example, example of artist, right? You learn a lot of paintings, right? After you learn so many paintings, if you ask for any new painting, he can able to create a new painting out of what he learned. Talk about the cloud based LLMs versus LLM local installed LLMs, right? So as we already discussed, right, so LLMs are kind of a very large amount of data we need to train, right? Which means like definitely you need to have a lot of hardware capacity, lot of computing power, and these are like a major factor for your LLMs, right? So that's the reason like most of the companies like even OpenAI or Anthropic or even Google, they hosted these models in their clouds, because it need a lot of computing power, lot of infrastructure, and then security. These are like a very which is include a lot of cost. So as an individual, or if you take like a small scale companies, this is very difficult to install these large language models, because the data which needs to trained is like it's like a TBs of data. So then these bigger organization or bigger companies, they hosted LLMs in their cloud, and then they're providing as a REST APIs, right? For example, if you take any of the application, you are requesting for a cloud provider servers, and then finally like it will take the request either like a cloud provider or SaaS provider of LLMs, and it is able to give the response. So that's why like most of these popular large language models are hosted by the uh, bigger companies. Now let's take like a different kind of a providers today, right? OpenAI, they're offering like a chat GPT or GPT-4, GPT 3.5 via REST API, and then they are pricing by token wise. So this is like a example pricing. So the latest pricing will be, you can look at their websites. Anthropic, they have a Claude 3 Sonnet. These are the popular uh, models, LLMs, and then they are also exposed via REST API. Similarly, Google has their own LLM called Gemini Pro, that is also available as a REST API. So this is the rationale behind like why these LLMs are hosted by the bigger companies in their cloud networks, right? Example advantages, if we check, cutting edge quality, zero infrastructure, instant updates, scalability, easy integration, no maintenance, right? Obviously, like we are not hosting, so we don't have to maintain any infra. We don't need to update any new updates, and then scalability and then rate limit and all, like these are all really we don't care about here. As long as you are paying for that tokens, you are able to access these APIs. So if it goes to the cons, ongoing cost, privacy concerns, internet dependency, rate limit, vendor lock-in, network latency, right? For example, you are calling some remote REST API, right? Your internet is matter, your network is matter, everything is matter to consume the APIs. And also the cost, right? These are like a pay as you go. So if you use more tokens, then you have to pay a lot of cost for the uh, consumption. So these are the like more cons of uh, cloud-based LLMs. When to use cloud-based LLMs means, if you want to build some kind of a production grade applications for many users, and then if you want to have if you don't have like a powerful hardware in your local, you are not able to manage infra, and then sometimes like a small size organization or medium size organization, for them like a using cloud based LLMs are cost effective for them. So these are the scenarios we can go for the cloud based LLMs. Now let's talk about the local installed LLMs, right? So local installed LLMs nothing but, like those models will be installed in your mission. So that is available as part of your mission, and then you can directly access those APIs by via REST mode, or you can use their clients. For example, in this example, so local API calls local host, and then it goes to our local model, and then you are able to get the result. So example of local installed model is Olama. It's it's from Meta, so they are offering like a kind of a Docker kind of a way to run models in local. So let's talk about the pros and cons of local models, right? So pros nothing but completely privacy, because you are installing in your local or your infra, it's completely privacy or confidential, and zero ongoing cost because you don't need to pay for APIs, pay as you go kind of a stuff. And then offline capability means even though you don't have internet, you still can able to access these LLMs. And then no rate limit, because that is installed in your local, and then you don't need to pay for, or you don't have any rate limit. And then full control means you can customize whatever you the way you wanted. And then low latency means you don't have any network issues to impact your consumption of or accessing your models. So now cons is like a more like a hardware requirement, because as we already know, like these models are kind of a TBs of data, so it's very hard to gather the huge kind of a hardware requirements. And then like a maintenance means we are managing infra, means we need to uh, uh, own the maintenance cost. And then sometimes if any security vulnerabilities, we need to quickly fix it. So those are like more cons of like using the local LLMs. So when to use local LLMs, it's very simple. Like privacy is a critical, because if you use like a cloud-based models, your data is needs to be go to the outside of your network. So if you use a local LLMs, it's still in your network perimeter. So you want like a zero API cost. You don't want to pay for your APIs on pay as you go. Then you can use it. And then need offline functionality means like if you are hosted in your local machine, you can access with the local host without having any internet. And then for the building personal tools for prototypes means if you are an individual, you want to learn or you want to quickly spin up some of the AI applications, local AI models is best for you. And if you have like a very good decent hardware, then for example 16 GB plus RAM, then you can install these models in local. So now let's talk about the comparison, right? The cloud versus local installed. The cost, right? The cloud you need to go by a pay per use, and then here is a free. Once you uh, set up the kind of a model and then run the model, the privacy like data sent externally as a, because these models are running remotely, and then it's a completely privacy local installed models. And then quality like a best available GPT-4, and then these local installed models sometimes not have a better models to install in local. So that's one of the advantage if you go with the cloud based setup. It's just like minutes, like like you go and then go to the OpenAI or like a Google or Anthropic, go and then create a API key, then you can immediately use the LLMs to create applications. This will like we need to set up the infra, and then we need to install the model, and then we need to make sure that model running. So that's the one. Hardware, like you don't need to manage any hardware here if you go with cloud based LLMs. Here we need to manage the hardwares. Internet is required because you are calling remote APIs. Here is not required because the model is running in local, you can access via local host. Latency, like definitely like if it is a cloud based, your network speed and everything comes into picture. So if it is a local host, you don't need to worry about the network latency. Working with LLMs REST APIs, via REST APIs, right? So any LLMs are cloud based, especially like a cloud based LLMs. They are providing a way. They have given one endpoint, and then they have a set of API methods, and then they have to provide in a way like a, we can generate some kind of authentication keys or authentication token to access their APIs, right? So that's how like it's a basic fundamental thing in any of the applications or any of the REST APIs. OpenAI or Google or Anthropic, they have their kind of a platform. There we can go and generate the API keys, and then we can access their LLM APIs, REST APIs. For example, if we take a OpenAI API example, this is their URL, and then this is chart compilation. That's where like you can simply select your model and then pass your message, what you want, your prompt or question. So then it will generate the answer for you. This is a way you can call OpenAI REST API. So this is the example of calling OpenAI REST APIs. Similarly, if you take the Olama REST API in local, as I said, like this model already installed in the local, so we can use a local host to call the model. For example, here we choose the model Llama 3.2, and then we're asking the question like whatever you wanted, and then it will able to generate the answer. So these are the like examples of how cloud based and then local installed model able to access via REST APIs. And then these are the like example of Olama endpoints: generate, chart, tags, and pull. These are the method types. And then there is another way we can access these models using the SDKs. So we talk about the REST APIs, right? Here is like these are the SDKs. SDKs are like a kind of a libraries which can internally it will have a code to directly connect to the LLMs. So these SDKs may be available as a different kind of a programming language, Python, Java, kind of a Node.js, or what are the popular languages today we are using. Most of these LLMs providers created the SDKs to access the LLMs. So SDK advantage of SDKs are like simpler code, like you don't need to write a lot of code to how to call your REST APIs. Rather, they already provide they are a completely abstract the code, and then they will give the predefined methods and objects to access the LLMs. So type safety, like you can if you use REST APIs, you are responsible for invoking the REST API using your programming language, and then you need to manage everything. But if you use the SDKs, it's a type safety means if any errors in the using the code and all, you can immediately the compiler is able to show the errors. So there are like a different kind of providers. They're providing their own SDKs. All you need to, like if it is Java, you need to add it as part of the your pom.xml or Gradle dependencies list. If it is a Python, then you need to simply use the pip to install the their specific libraries or SDKs. For example, if we take the OpenAI, then we can install the pip install OpenAI so that you will get that library. So this is some example of how we can make a call to OpenAI LLMs using the Python code. So simple, like they have a chart kind of a compilation predefined methods. You can simply call those functions. So streaming response means like this is like a will execute it and then you will get the answer. Streaming, like you continuously listen from the LLMs, like by chunks. So this is Anthropic Python SDK. Simple, like again you need to install as a pip install Anthropic. Then this is example of code to invoke their LLMs. So this is a Olama, simple, like we need to create a chart object. From the chart object you need to pass what kind of model you are using, and then your prompt, then it is able to generate the content. So these are the like a different kind of a LLM SDKs. They have their own libraries, so their own kind of objects and functions. We need to follow their SDK docs, and then we can invoke the LLMs. I hope you guys enjoy this session. So I will come back with another session. Thank you.